What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee, and welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another video, and in this particular video I want to talk about relationships, especially in this day and age. We see a shift when it comes to men and women creating healthy relationships. There is such a divide when it comes to women and men. It's getting to a point that we don't even know if we'll ever be able to have the majority of successful relationships and families in this country. It seems to be an epidemic of single women, single mothers, and men who are slowly moving away from the idea of marriage because of the state of dating and relationships. And a part of the reason I would like to point out, which I always point out, is the fact that a lot of the women who have bought into this feminist mindset, and the ones who have come to realize in their minds that they don't need men, or men are just not that important, and the fact that they make a little bit of money, that they can take care of themselves, and what's the point of a man? But the one thing that I think that a lot of these particular women are not looking at is the fact that they are still creating children with a man, just not their husbands. And so what is happening is we're having a lot of women who are creating children, a lot of women who don't believe or feel that they need to get married. They don't see the necessity of it. And I think it's all coming from a selfish place, because what they're not doing is thinking of the children that they're creating. So as much as women like to say they don't need men, they can take care of themselves and they can take care of their children by themselves, they're still creating broken homes. And this is going to negatively impact the children who are involved, whether you believe it or not. And I think this is the epidemic that we have seen. This is not a new occurrence. We see the result of single mother-led households. We see how a lot of those children come out. We see how statistics state that a lot of children who were raised by single mothers end up incarcerated. They end up getting into trouble because they only have that mother figure. They don't have a father figure in their lives. And so that creates a major impact on the way that they're raised, the teachings that they're getting, just the influence that they have, and how they end up for the most part. And I'm not saying that all children that are raised by single mothers turn out that way, but it is a high percentage. Partly what we got to start doing as women, and I'm speaking to all women, and I'm coming from a sincere place, that you have to start thinking about your kids, their future, and how they're going to be raised. You got to stop thinking that you don't need men and you don't need fathers for your children, because these children would say otherwise. A lot of these children don't have a choice in the matter, but they are the ones who are suffering the most behind it. And I don't think a lot of women fully understand that. So when you come out and you say, oh, I want kids, but I don't need to be married, and I don't need to have a father for my kids, I can raise them by myself, you are definitely doing your child an injustice, in my opinion. And I think we have to change that narrative and change that mindset, because it is definitely not helping our communities whatsoever. It's doing more hurt than good in our communities. And I think as we see a lot of single mothers complaining, they're complaining about the state of the situations that they're in. They're complaining about struggling to make ends meet. They're complaining about struggling, having to do it all by themselves. But in the same token, they're still complaining, but they're still saying they don't need a man, and I don't need a man in my life, and I can do this by myself. But when you're having the hardships all by yourself, it's a complaint that you have and you continue to have. So I think it's a selfish nature to think that you can raise a child all by yourself and that child is not going to be neglected in some way, shape, or form. We got to stop thinking about just the financial aspect of it, because even if you are financially stable and you can raise your child, the child still needs a father. So fathers are important just as much as mothers are. Try to make sure that you are creating children with a man that wants children, a man who wants to raise a family, a man who wants to be your husband. This idea that you can go around and just be promiscuous, and this is supposed to be an empowerment thing, and then you're making children on top of this, it is not a good look. It is not beneficial to anyone. The problem is not necessarily relationships, but the problem is with the women who think that they don't need relationships or they don't need a man, because this is creating a single mother epidemic. Marriage is not important. Men are not important, but you're still creating babies with men and thinking you don't need them because you make some money to take care of yourself, but not realizing the mental aspect that is associated with that when it comes to your children. You have children who are growing up asking why they don't have father. Where is their daddy? Why they don't have a daddy to do things with them and take them to school and do these types of things. And the only answer that most women in that situation can give is, oh, your daddy didn't want to be here. But is that always the case if we're going to be realistic? Because that may be the case in some instances, but I don't think that that's the case in all. Because there are a lot of women who are specifically choosing to become single mothers, and they don't care to have a father in their lives or their children's lives. So at least if you're going to choose to do that, be honest with your kids about it. Tell them what it really is and what you believe you can accomplish without a man or a father in your life or your child's life. Because I don't think a lot of women are being honest. And I think you can definitely build relationships with one another, but you got to start being more realistic and being honest with yourself and being accountable for the choices that you make in your life and how those choices are going to have a detrimental impact on your life and the children's lives that you bring into this world. So I just think, once again, and I know people like to say, oh, well, you know, you just hold women accountable. And I think as a woman, I know the nature of women. So I think it's important for women to be held accountable. So as women, you have to be accountable for your nature, for your choices, for the things you do or lack thereof. And you have to start taking ownership of your part so that you can make changes, so you won't continue to make those same mistakes over and over and over again. It's not the fact that you can't make mistakes, but you have to learn from your mistakes in order to do better. You can't continuously make the same mistakes over and over and over and constantly blame somebody else and never take any accountability, and then think that you're the best thing since sliced bread and you do no wrong, and every man that you've come in contact with are just so wrong and bad and evil and dirty, and you're just so great. And women know that that is not the case. But as long as they can continue to shift the blame to men and act as if they're innocent, they'll continue to do it. And you got to understand that this is not going to be beneficial to you or your kids. They're going to have issues. We all grew up in some type of trauma, one way, shape, or form. But the key to getting past that trauma is looking at your surroundings, understanding what it is, holding people accountable, and making sure that you do not repeat that cycle, making sure that you choose a different path from what you were raised up in, so that you can create a life for yourself and a family that is totally different from what you were raised in. That should be the goal, in my opinion. And I think that's what we got to start looking at. Stop perpetuating the same cycle that you grew up in. So in order for the relationships to work, you have to first take accountability for your actions, the things that you do. Make some changes in your life that are beneficial to you and your family, and work on those things together and build something substantial together. At the end of the day, you either want to have a family and build a stable family together, or you're going to be by yourself and get old complaining that you could never find the right one and you chose not to settle. So listen, I'm gonna leave it here. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content, and I will see you guys in the next one.